Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So the idea for... Do you listen to me? Okay.
Yeah, but maybe raise your voice for just
Okay,
the
perfect.
for Clément.
So the idea for this panel is to explore how privacy have been evolving and since the beginning in crypto, and your ideas and your thoughts on the current statement of privacy and the future. Yes. And maybe the very first thing to do would be nice if each one of you can introduce a little bit about what do you think about privacy today and what you do.
Okay, so I'll start. So a lot of people now are talking about a new privacy season. We all hope it is really that, and we all hope that people finally start to understand how important it is to protect your data and what you're doing on chain, and for all of the use cases. So, and we'll talk about this at this panel. Now, I'm Alex. I'm CEO of SCRT Labs. And SCRT Labs is utilizing the TEE, Trusted Execution Environment technology, which is hardware-based technology. We started in 2020 with the SCRT network, which is the confidential computing blockchain, where everything is executed, all the contracts are executed in Trusted Execution Environment, in Intel SGX specifically. And we have recently added to our portfolio the confidential virtual machines product based on Intel TDX, and we'll soon add AMD SEV as well, where any workload can run inside this confidential VM with all the data being fully protected from the owner of the hardware, and also the source code being verifiable, meaning the owner of this virtual machine can prove to anyone what is the exact specific source code running in that machine, which in my mind kind of makes any workload similar in a way to a smart contract, where you can prove what exactly is the code that is running in this machine. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and let's hear the others.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Lior Bondarevski. I'm leading the protocol at Fhenix. At Fhenix, we're bringing high throughput privacy based on FHE to every EVM chain. Our goal is to be able to support any privacy solution, any privacy need on any EVM chain, and it's quite easily be done. Yeah, happy to be here. My take about privacy and this in this era is finally happening. I think it's our job to make it real, to make it possible, and to make it fast. We need to work fast. We need to push our products into production as soon as possible in order to be able to accommodate this great season. And I think we're soon to be amazed.
Yeah, so I'm Clément, I'm working at Zama. So I'm head of blockchain. Zama is primarily like a company working on FHE, so it's a kind of new cryptographic primitive we are working on for a few years now. And yeah, I think we're happy to see this technology reach the beginning of the maturity to actually build a product. And this is like the right time, like as they said, like basically we are like in the privacy season. I think I love this this term, and this is like the right moment to push like any privacy technologies, because like the market seems to ask for something. So yeah, this is great.
Guys, now it will be nice to ask. A few years ago, privacy was more like a feature, and now it's needed more than ever in infra, all on Web3. So, from your point of view, how was the evolution of privacy in our ecosystem since the beginning you are in the industry?
Okay, so I'll start. So initially, the blockchains were for creating, storing, and transferring value. Right, that's what Bitcoin was all about. And then some people figure out that, okay, Bitcoin is all public, so let's do this store of value and transfer value, let's do it private. And that's how Monero and Zcash were born. That's also how my first crypto project, Beam, which is a Mimblewimble protocol-based privacy coin, was born. So that was the first stage. Now, the second stage started when Ethereum appeared, and people said, oh, smart contracts, by the way, which are not really smart and not really contracts, they're just on-chain programs, but it's just a nice term. And then people said, okay, let's make them confidential. And then, Secret Network came along, and other TE networks and ZK networks like Odstack, Alio, and a bunch of others, so people started to figure out how that would work. And now, actually, with the advent of confidential virtual machines, people started thinking, why don't we bring this privacy plus verifiability to any workload, both on-chain and off-chain? So I see this very clear evolution from just transferring and storing coins to running those small and relatively limited on-chain programs with confidentiality, and then to running any workload with full confidentiality and verifiability. So that's my look at the evolution.
Yeah, Alex took a lot of different aspects that I wanted to mention, but I'll just mention like two more aspects. I think that there are two more aspects that are really important for the maturity of of privacy in general on Web3. The first one is that people started to be more like open to privacy just because they're not afraid anymore. I think the new administration in the US started like the process of accepting privacy as a given thing without like the fear of being penalized for protecting your own data. And I think the other governments are continuing with the process of accepting it as well. So I think that's the first case. I think that the maturity of the technology, like imagine 4 years ago and go to anyone, like we're here representing FHE, but go to anyone and tell them that you will have an production grade FHE solution. People will be probably shocked, like it took like forever to do the computation there. And finally we have like more mature solutions to be ready to be deployed, and actually already deployed on testnets. So yeah, it's very exciting on this end as well.
Yeah, and also I think like a few years ago, you didn't have the same impression from government and banks regarding blockchain in general, and you see that like more and more government and banks try to get on blockchain, but they quickly realized that they needed privacy to actually like move traditional finance on chain. And even like we are clearly at the beginning of that, but this is like the next step for the blockchain to have like more use cases coming from traditional finance on chain, and for that you need like more mature technology to bring these use cases.
So now we have talked about a little bit about the timeline, about privacy, how it has evolved. And now to keep talking about the future and current things, maybe it will be really nice to get to know your take on privacy. Why do you think this is so important, and why you are working hard on this topic? Why do you decide to spend all your days working on privacy?
Yeah, I can start here. I think it's fairly easy. I would challenge everyone here to use the commonly used websites that they're using every day without HTTPS. Put your credit card data without HTTPS. Use everything that you are using, but just discard HTTPS. If you're willing to do so, yeah, I don't think you will agree with me. But if you're not willing to do so, try to think, why are you willing to do so on Web3? That's the sole reason I would think that privacy should matter to you. There are many reasons, but I mean, think of this.
Yeah, I'll just give another example, again, challenging the public here. What if your bank was just publishing all your credit card statements in the open for anyone to log in and just watch them? How would we all feel about this? We would feel terrible. Why though? Are we drug dealers or criminals? No. But we definitely don't want other people to know how much money we have and how we spend it and where and when and so on and so forth. This is all very valuable information, and when we are transacting on Ethereum or any other public chain, we get exactly this. All our dealings, all our transactions are just available for anyone to observe forever. Forever and ever. There's even no way to erase that. So that's the answer, like why we need privacy, because just the opposite situation, if you think it through, is just unbearable. It's like, it cannot be.
And I think this is also like something you see already with banks. Like we often like think about like starting from blockchain, from what we have today, to say, hey, today everything is public. So which use case we would to have it private? But if you think about like traditional finance banks, everything is confidential. Confidentiality is by default. And because like we are working on blockchain and we are used to have everything public, we try to do the things in the opposite way. Like everything is public by default, and we try to ask what would be confidential. But in reality, like everything should be confidential by default. And then we question like what could be public. But like I think like we have like a mind like a too Web3 oriented, saying like, hey, what we not the right direction, I guess.
I think in that point, we need to do a shift in the paradigm where if you think that someone needs privacy, it's not because they are doing a crime, it's just for privacy of their own. In that thing, what do you think is what is needed to do this shift in people's paradigm?
I think this shift started like because like we have more business use cases on that. Like I think many companies like building on blockchain realized that it was needed by the market simply by that. So the shift I think comes from like a business incentive, not like because people like realize they all know that from the beginning that they needed privacy, but just like they managed to do business and do like address some use case in public and it was fine. But now I think we reach a threshold where all use cases public are reached and we have new use cases to unlock, but we need privacy for that.
At this moment, it will be really nice to start talking about the main use cases. If you want to explore each one of you, one that you love the most, and then go deep into that.
Okay, so I'll start, and I'll take one particular use case of off-chain confidential computation. And I'll give the public here an example of, let's say, everyone here is probably using OpenAI, right? And OpenAI has this, you aren't. So you're using what, Anthropic or something else, or nothing at all? Okay, so you are probably the only one here, or one of the very few people who are not using that. So most people are using that, and OpenAI has recently added this kind of a private mode, right, when they say, your data will not go anywhere. But how can you trust them? I mean, of course your data will go everywhere, and they will use it, and they will buy it, and sell it, and do whatever they want with it. Why is that? Because there's no way to verify which code they're running on their backend. So the confidential VM technology actually solves that. So for instance, we have our confidential AI services where we're running several open source models, and we open up the code and we prove that this is exactly the code that's running. So anyone using our AI services and other confidential AI services that are, there's a number out there using this technology, they can be sure and they can verify, don't trust, verify, they can verify that their data is not going anywhere. And you know, we haven't talked about AI, but privacy in AI is of paramount importance because we are sharing our deepest things. People are using AI as their psychotherapists, as their business advisor, as their marriage advisor, whatever, all the data. So those AI companies, they not only have our data now, but they start getting our very soul, and they can even influence us in the ways that we can't even imagine. So that aspect of privacy, which is one probably of the newer ones out there, so I deliberately took that one that's the latest, I think that's something that also people are starting to understand and will be understanding more and more and acting accordingly.
Yeah. The way I like to look at privacy solutions is by splitting them into like two categories. There are local privacy solutions such as Ethereum Foundation that are pushing some local solutions, and then there are general applicative solutions. Those solutions are basically like you can create every possible application that you can think of with privacy as a given thing without knowing anything about the technology behind the scenes. And I can give so many examples. I can sit here for hours and speak of examples, but like let's go for the very common DeFi abstraction. I want to transfer funds from my wallet to another wallet without people knowing how much money do I have, nor how much money do I transfer to my friend. And it's not because I'm having some criminal thoughts. It's just because I don't want anyone to know my personal balance, my personal needs of what I'm buying, from whom I'm buying, and stuff like that. These are very important things and very achievable with applicational privacy.
Yeah, just something I wanted to just like think about, like it's how we want to have privacy. Like we mentioned, like privacy infrastructure and how we see things, but is a feature is like a new blockchain bringing the features. I think this is something also important to have in mind, is that how we can like have a usability for people to use actually these features. We saw like Rail like directly integrated with Ethereum, which is great. Like you can imagine that you can directly like use a kind of part of confidentiality. It's not like the perfect solution, but at least you have something directly on Ethereum to use. And I think this also to think about, like we have the liquidity on many chains, and today we need to use this liquidity and add a privacy layer on top of that. And if you bring a new feature like privacy, this is something to have in mind. Like you have so much blockchain, so much liquidity across many blockchain, and you need to onboard these features. Should we like try to move the liquidity to a new network? Should we like try to have privacy directly on chain? This is an open question, but I think like this is something to have in mind in the future.
It's a really good comment, what you says. And related to that, you said about what we are doing now, what's good in the future, and maybe it's a good point to start talking about future use cases to scale privacy and what is needed in the industry.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question, sorry.
About future use cases that you think are needed to scale in privacy in Web3.
I think for the scalability, I think most of the technology we have today are good enough to basically like launch feature. Like could be FHE, ZK, MPC. Like of course, like you have some technology with more maturity because they are in production for many years, and other like just starting to build testnet production and so on. But I think like we are at a level where all technology can be used. And I think for the scalability, like we probably need a few months, years to actually like see the adoption. But I think we are ready to have massive adoption of privacy. It's just a matter of engineering. There is no like a big unknown cryptographic that you're not sure what you can do. I think we are at a level where we have a roadmap and we know that it's doable in the coming years. So this is great. Like, at least like you don't have this unknown, or you're not sure it will be doable at some point. You know it will be doable at some point. So no, it's just like a engineering problem, which is great because it's solvable. You just need some time, but it will be done at some point.
Yeah, I totally agree with Clément. I think that we are as mature as we need in order to start building, start pushing, and we don't need to wait. I think that the next step of maturity, is we need to understand that every technology, every privacy technology has its own need. We are not in a fight. My personal belief is that FHE is great for execution, but ZK, for example, is great for scaling. And FHE is not there for scaling, so obviously we'll need them all. TEs are great for verification of the things you are running. So yeah, you have a lot of things that you can do together, and once everyone will understand that it's our goal to be able to push this technology or all of our technologies together to institutions, to whatever project that needs us, I think we'll be in a very good place.
Yeah, and I would like to add, so about the scalability, I feel the TE technology is pretty scalable right now because the hardware is pretty widely available and the software to run the confidential VMs is there. So, you know, we are now offering those confidential VMs in kind of a cloud service provider fashion, and you know, as we get more demand, we just buy or rent more and more servers. So that's pretty scalable. And regarding the future use cases, so we see some of our customers working on deploying trading strategies inside TEs, also deploying medical applications like medical image analysis that we just did a proof of concept with Fetch AI on mammography imaging, so running best-of-breed models inside TEs to analyze mammography images and produce high-quality medical reports. And that, for example, that can make this medical care available and democratized, or diagnostics available and democratized anywhere in the world, also through blockchain payment rails. So AI agents is also a very powerful use case for TEs where you can deploy or use somebody else's AI agent without fearing that it would steal your data or do something bad. So we'll see more and more cases there, both on-chain and off-chain, and hopefully some of the more general use cases like agents or medical would bring in newer people into this blended Web3 environment and take the whole industry up.
So, and to onboard these new use cases, from your point of view, what would be the main challenge right now for the industry and privacy?
Well, I think UX of blockchains is still a major challenge. Every time I need to send a transaction on Ethereum with my ledger, I curse because it never, I mean, maybe I'm doing something wrong every time, but I'm doing that for years and always is waiting and then this and this. So the UX is first thing, and everybody talks about this, everybody knows this, but it's still not great. That's one. And two, I think for wider adoption, it's our challenge as an industry to switch public perception from of the Web3 industry, from it being a place to gamble on tokens to being a place to use services that are cheaper, faster, and better than elsewhere. And that's really, I think, those two challenges are very big challenges. We are moving there, but it's a long uphill battle.
Yeah, I think that I want to emphasize the UX part. I think that once the user experience will be finalized in a way that it will be super native to use privacy without any change in your contract, without any change in anywhere, and once blockchain will be accessible and the experience on blockchain will be super, super, super easy, I think that will be the case where, of course, all of us wants institutions to start using blockchain for so many reasons, either voting or money transfer and anything. And I think that those are the major things we need to go through in order to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, and I would go in the same direction, but more I think something we are missing in the integration in the ecosystem. So, for example, there are an initiative we are pushing with Fhenix also regarding the confidential token standard. So the idea is to have a standard confidential token running on Ethereum, to have the possibility to have to integrate transfer your balance, everything encrypted directly in a wallet, website, everywhere. But for that we need a standardization. I think this is a big challenge to reach an agreement between all parties working on privacy, to have some standardization on that. Like this, we ease a lot the integration of this confidentiality solution in any dApp, any wallet, any ecosystem. Could be also a centralized exchange to basically because otherwise nobody will use it. If it's not in your wallet, it's not in your centralized exchange, it would be a big issue. So this is the next change, I guess.
Now, before we close, it will be really nice for each one of you to explore a little bit about what do you think about the next challenge and what you wish for your project to succeed.
Can you repeat the last next challenge?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the next challenge of ours is make the solutions way more mature in a way. It's part of the UX, but make it more performant, make the throughput real, make the throughput not Like I know there is a myth about FHE that's like I know where it comes from, but it's super slow, it's hard to use. So we already broke some of the major parts of this myth, but make it like unreal for people to actually think about FHE as a slow thing. And I think that technology actually becomes more and more mature, and I think it's very possible nowadays. And I think that that's a huge step forward for us.
So I think for the TE industry, one challenge is just finding the right use case and finding customers and explaining the value. But I think it's going pretty well. That's one challenge. Another challenge is to prove to the world that TEs are secure. So recently there were a couple of published attacks on TEs that allow an attacker to break the TE when they have physical access. So now we have launched an industry initiative by multiple TE players like Fala, ourselves, Oasis, AK Verify, and a bunch of other guys. And this initiative is called Proof of Cloud, and the idea is that we cross-verify our machines following a standard procedure, and we generate a proof that those are really located in secure data centers that cannot be accessed by attackers and broken in that way. So I think those are, for the TE industry, those are the two main challenges now. Yeah, and in general, we all have the same challenge as the Web3 industry as a whole.
Yeah, for Zama, I think like we plan to launch our mainnet by the end of the year. So of course, like many challenges arrive when you launch a mainnet. So it will be it will be a lot. But I think mostly our current challenge is to scale in general because we know that we're working, but well, we need to do more on that. And as I said, like I think it's to drive the adoption to more privacy-oriented features on Ethereum and on EVM in general. So yeah, we're working on that, and we try to contact anyone who wants to bring confidentiality on their product to contact me or Zama.
Thank you so much, guys, each one of you. It has been a really good talk, a great panel. And well, if you want to say some last words before we close, you are welcome.
Yeah, I'll just want to mention, like, don't be afraid to build, don't be afraid to use. I know that's like privacy could sound really scary at first and hard to use and hard to build and hard to everything. Either you're a builder or a user, don't afraid to start. You will be surprised on how mature it became, how easy it is to approach, and convince me otherwise.
Yes, and I will add to this, whatever you're using, be it on-chain or off-chain, just try to think which data you're now committing or sending and who will be able to see that data and when. So if you're using blockchains, the answer is anyone will be able to see your data forever and ever. If you're sending something to OpenAI, then you understand that OpenAI will be able to see your data and do whatever they want with it forever and ever. So give it a thought and think, well, maybe there is an alternative that that I could use and try. And as Lior said, it's not scary. It's not that difficult. Just go there and protect yourselves and your data.
Yeah, I think like I agree with you both. So yeah, just like thank you to be here and to have interest in privacy in general. I think this is something we are looking for many years. I mean, like we are all working on in company who actually work on privacy for many years, and so we are glad to see so many people interested in the privacy field. So continue and get some interest on that. So it's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, Laín. Thank you. It was great.